just not safe. So particularly for some children are more vulnerable than others. Now here's the interesting thing. In Cuba, and this is all at PubMed online, Cuba, who also uses the vaccinations to a great extent, don't have autistic kids. Now they might have a few or whatever, but nothing like this huge escalation we've seen. The difference is in Cuba, if you have a vaccination, doctors will not prescribe Tylenol, and you can't buy it in the stores. Acetaminophen suppresses fever, and when you suppress fever, you suppress your body's ability to make glutathione, which is a super antioxidant that neutralizes free radicals. So oxidative stress, which degenerates brain cells, oxidative stress is caused by more free radicals and not enough antioxidants. Now, I'm not talking about not eating enough antioxidants. It's not making enough from your own body. Your body makes something called glutathione. Now, you can give kids injections of glutathione. Many of the symptoms of autism lessen right away. But better is get your body to make glutathione. Now, your body will make glutathione. If it's low in glutathione, it will start making it if you lessen the load of oxidative stress. So let's say I'm trying to lift something and it's just too heavy, I give up. As opposed to some bigger guy comes along and helps me lift it, now I can get my energy back to lift. Well, heat shock proteins are the heavy lifters. They only show up when you give them a chance to show up. When the glutathione, if you can't make enough glutathione to fight off the bacteria, the virus, the heavy metals, the toxicity that just came in your body with this vaccination, and if you're already low in glutathione and you can't fight it off, your brain says, okay, get the big guys in here, call in the angels, and heat shock proteins get produced to protect you from that toxic assault into your bloodstream, which has never happened in history. So you get this toxic assault of toxicity into your body. So the big guys come in, and that's called heat shock proteins, which are generated in your brain by a fever. So if you suppress a fever, suddenly you've just taken away your body's defenses against a huge attack. And now oxidative stress becomes permanent. Inflammation builds around it because your body can't protect yourself from it, and you have a chronic condition. And you derail the normal development of the brain. So what you want to do is restore that normal development of the brain by stimulating heat shock proteins. So how would you do that? You induce a fever in the child's brain. So that's what is called in Germany, where one of the major treatments for thousands of years was spas, where you would go to mineral springs, water with minerals, and you would get in hot water, and you would lie in the hot water. You'll see still today, there's 3 pools. One's around 98 degrees, one's 101 degrees, and one of them's 103 degrees. It's 20 minutes in one, you lie back and float in it like this, and you get your head back. Now, I've gotten results with kids even without doing the head back, but full reversal of autism happens when they do this. Not all kids can, or parents are willing to go through what it takes. It's a big process for some kids, easier for others. But you first get them acclimated just being in the bathtub. And then after a while, you get them to lean back into the water. But the idea is your head is underwater, your face is above, and you're getting this heat around your head. So you're slowly warming the brain up. Then after 20 minutes, you raise the temperature to around 101 degrees and stay in that for about 20 minutes. Then that last 20 minutes, that's the most important time, is 103 degrees for 20 minutes. You're going to increase your fever in your brain, and heat shock proteins will get produced. And they last for 48 hours. So you don't have to do this every day. You do it every other day for 3 months, and I've had complete reversal of kids with autism with extra mineral supplementation and dietary changes. And this is miraculous. And I had a center, people say, oh, how can you just say that? Because I did a documentary on it in the Bay Area where the doctors talked about the results. I had a wellness center for 6 years where I had autistic children working with these kids, and just seeing in 1-2 days, impulsiveness. Some kids had Tourette's so bad that the father had to always hold them all the time. If their mind went here, the body went there. Just gone in 3 days. Kids who couldn't talk, talking. It's such great results that lasted if they continued at home doing the MAVs. There is a research study. There's a research study. Only one has been done on this. It happened a couple of years ago. And all they did with 30 autistic kids, or 32, They put them in regular bathtub water, 98 degrees, for 30 minutes. No change at all. And then they went up to 102 degrees for 30 minutes. And every single child had improvement of autistic symptoms. Well, why don't we keep doing that every other day? But nobody talks about that. I mean, it has improvement because the improvements go away. You can't just suddenly get better and it goes, suddenly get healed. It doesn't go that fast. You're making the heat shock proteins, which are now the big guys coming in that carry the load of oxidative stress, which allows your body now to start making the glutathione, plenty of glutathione. So you're starting to build up your body's ability to do glutathione. Then you come in with another little fever. It's just, these are some of the basics that anybody can do. Now, ideally, when you're in that water, you put into the water a lot of magnesium, Epsom salts. So we're not talking like a cup of Epsom salt. We're talking, 8 pounds of Epsom salt. When you come down to just basics anybody can do today for any brain dysfunction, whether it be ADHD, whether it be autism, whether it be Parkinson's, whether the dementia, all these kinds of things, brain dysfunction, we want to get minerals into the brain. There's always magnesium deficiency. At Costco, you can buy it for $10. And you do that every other night. You got this nice Epsom salt bath, getting lots of magnesium in their body, because these kids are so stressed. And when you're stressed, you always deplete magnesium, which then you're depleting it in your brain. If you deplete magnesium in your brain, then you cannot relax. The brain requires lots of magnesium. The body requires magnesium, and stress depletes it. So you need to get that magnesium. There's many companies have magnesium spray. You can, after the bath or whenever you take a shower or whatever with kids, you want to spray under the arms, you want to spray on the elbows, all the soft areas. Get that magnesium into their body, rub it in, nice little massage. That helps to calm them. But the big gun is lithium. Again, lithium orotate, magnesium orotate, calcium orotate, zinc orotate. These are like, I think I left out one, but they're the really key players there. Potassium, zinc, magnesium, calcium, lithium. Those are your 5. And they're alkalizing, they rebuild your brain, and then you put in the heat with that. Now your brain will produce the heat shock proteins, and the heat shock proteins help your brain to regenerate and take away the oxidative stress. Now, many people haven't heard the term oxidative stress, so I always need to say it twice and repeat it. If you exercise a lot, you produce free radicals. If you think a lot, you produce free radicals. If you have stress, you're producing free radicals. If you eat sugar, you're producing a lot of free radicals. So free radicals are not bad. We're supposed to make them, the body makes them, as long as your body also makes enough antioxidants. But the problem is our bodies aren't designed for all this sugar and all this stress. So as soon as you have lots of sugar and lots of stress, you basically use up your glutathione, and then your glutathione doesn't get produced. Also, whenever you take the most popular drug on the planet is acetaminophen, which is in your Tylenol, and over 40 different over-the-counter drugs today has acetaminophen in it. And so many drugs they give you in the hospital, they're going to put acetaminophen right into your body. It immediately suppresses glutathione production. It's one of the most dangerous, harmful things. Children, when they get vaccinations, should never, ever take pain pills. I think that is our greatest vulnerability because we're being exposed to toxicity. There's nothing controversial about that. We know they have heavy metals in there. Aluminum is in every one, maybe mercury in some. Then you've got a whole list of other ones. You've got formaldehyde in there. These are known neurotoxins. You've got a substance that they put in it so that it doesn't create a big red spot here. It causes your blood vessels to open up. Well, those are that same substance causes your blood-brain barrier to open up. So what you just put in that child goes right into the brain. It should not do that. We're giving them an extra supplement in that vaccination so that what's in the vaccination goes into the brain, and what's in the vaccination is formaldehyde, is a heavy metal, and there's other things as well. And anybody who's into the non-vaccination movement will give you a long list. I'm not against vaccinations. I want them to be safe. We need to study them. We need drug companies to be accountable for them. And we need to also warn parents that if your child gets sick on a vaccination, do not suppress the fever. As a matter of fact, anytime a child has a fever, never suppress a fever. There's no evidence ever in recorded history of a fever causing brain damage. None. Yet we're all afraid of fevers because they're uncomfortable, And there's tremendous experience of parents, and I've seen it with my grandkids and my children, is social behavior and intellectual performance will increase after going through a fever, because a fever is producing the ultimate backup system to heal your brain of any oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is over 150,000 studies on PubMed show that almost every health problem you could have is directly linked to high levels of oxidative stress in your liver, in your heart, in your head, in your brain. And what is oxidative stress? It's too much free radicals, not enough antioxidants. And why don't we have enough antioxidants? Because we're doing things to suppress our body's ability to make antioxidants. And one of those things that we're doing is putting antibiotics into our gut, kills our gut. Now we can't make enough glutathione. We eat lots of sugar. Every time your blood sugar goes high, insulin levels go high, glutathione levels go low. We're running out of glutathione. So again, with autism, you can give your children more glutathione. Again, what I recommend is giving them the same thing they needed at birth, which is mother's milk. You can't get mother's milk, but you can get cow milk, and you can balance the proteins where you, instead of 90% casein and 10% whey, you do kind of 50-50. And you get it undenatured, you add the enzymes, you let it sit, it digests itself. So you're giving your children what they would get is pre-digested protein, because they cannot digest protein. There's so many gut problems with autistic children. You know, I know many doctors, Dr. Marco Ruggiero, who developed the Bravo yogurt. He developed 42 strains of probiotics. You make a home made yogurt and you take it, and they've had tremendous results. I've had tremendous results with all brain issues by adding those probiotics to this superfood shake, which I call it superfoods. You take, various superfoods, but the main ones is what mother's milk has, which is the proteins in the right balance, the human balance, not the cow balance, and also not heat processed.
I'll give you an example. I have a gal that came in to see me 4.5 years ago. She was suffering with severe depression, anxiety, fatigue, 10 years of chronic migraines, fatigue, couldn't get off her couch, had no drive or motivation in life. In fact, she pretty much just hated her life. She wasn't being able to be the mother she wanted to be. Her kids knew her as somebody who was very sickly and really wasn't a part of their life. And I think, wow, how difficult is that? How many people really suffer along with what she suffered with? And the journey that she went through over the course of the last 4.5 years, but really it was a shorter period of time that she had major changes come back. These things that affected her was the fact that she could only eat 4 foods for 2 years, meaning that she wasn't getting the nutrition in she needed because of the fact that if she ate anything else besides those 4 foods, she would have major headaches, major depression, anxiety, and bloating. So much of what happens in your gut health really affects your brain health. I know many of you have heard of that, but let's tie that together and what that really is. In this case, what we see with this gal that was 37 years old is she had parasites. She had made a trip to Mexico on a cruise, right? Contracted something, and then 10 years of suffering after that point in time. What I believe happened was she contracted a parasite when she was on this cruise that affected the way she felt, the way she digested, the way she thought. These parasites not only did that, but they caused chronic pain, abdominal pain, pain in her back, pain down her legs, and then the migraines daily, the headaches daily. And how would you not have depression and anxiety with a lot of these symptoms? So what we did for her is we started looking at what can we do for her gut health and getting her to expand her diet, being able to get rid of her headaches and stuff. So we did great things like put her on mimosa pudica seed, gave her neem, vedanga, clove. There's a lot of different amazing herbs that can help rid the body of parasites. By doing this, within 2 months, her headaches were gone. Within 4 months, her migraines were gone. And then over the course of the next year, her severe pain disappeared. All through treating the parasites. Her perspective in life changed. She became happier. She was able to handle so much more stress, where before any little bit of stress would overwhelm her whole entire body and her being. Now, the great thing about it is in her story that she came back is now she's vibrant, she has a job, she's working in something she has a passion for. She's involved in her children's lives, she's able to participate in their activities. and her husband has her back. What a life-changing experience that is when you can actually fulfill your purpose and mission by doing that.
I think parasites are a huge deal, causing cancer, causing depression, causing anxiety, causing mental illnesses. It's huge because it causes this fogginess in the brain because these parasites are in your body and they're eating up the good nutrients in your body and they're spitting out toxic waste. And that toxic waste interferes with your own system in making healthy vitamins for your body to work. Along with parasites, I think the other thing that we're not looking at enough is the toxins that come from mold in people's homes. We are so vulnerable these days to mold. Something has shifted due to our dietary practices and medications to where our bodies are more sensitive to fungus than ever before. So suddenly, people can live in a house with fungus and not be so affected by it, just like allergies. People have so much more sensitivities to allergies today, and they didn't used to.